What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the One More Rep podcast. I'm your host. My name is Joseph Percher. As always, this episode is brought to you by NutriBio Supplements. And I also want to shout out Crystal's Bikinis. I've recently been brought on as part of their team. They make all the bodybuilding trunks that I wear, all the trunks that I recommend to clients. She does everything from bikinis, female suits, classic, men's open, you name it. She's got it. She does a great job. You can check out the description below for my codes for both companies. I am joined today by Will Whitlock. Will is an NPC competitor who recently just competed. He is also the owner of Leviathan Nutrition, which is very, very interesting. So, this is one of those conversations where I'm going to be the least educated person in the room and just sit back and kind of try and pick Will's brain a little bit. But Will, how you doing, man? Thanks for taking time to join the show.
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate the opportunity to come and just talk bodybuilding with you, shoot the shit and all that.
Yeah. So I want you to kind of give the introductory spiel. Maybe just give me the cliff notes, like, for people that are listening that don't know you yet. Give me an idea, like how long have you been bodybuilding? What got you into it? And then I also kind of want to ask you about the company separately.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I started lifting weights before high school. I'm 35, so that was like 2004 or something. I got into bodybuilding within a year or two, 2006. So this was whenever, Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman
Yeah.
were almost, I guess, past their prime. Ronnie was past his prime a little bit, but I remember hearing about the '06 Olympia, looking at the photos, all
That's
that.
when
My
Jay caught
first
Ronnie finally, right? Oh
Yeah,
six.
yeah, it was the
Yeah.
first time he won. My first bodybuilding competition I went to was April 2006, down in Orange County. I remember I met Jay Cutler. He was a guest poser at the gym, or at the was at a high school with
Nice.
Derek Farnsworth. And I just
Yeah.
remember, because I was just getting into bodybuilding, and he was literally like larger than life. He was like
Oh yeah.
wider than he is big. I was just like amazed. I was looking at my friend, I'm like, dude, this is unreal. I took a picture with him. I wish I had it. It's probably on the bodybuilding.com forum somewhere, because I used that as a profile picture, of like, me next to him. I wish I can dig that picture up. But yeah, that's when I got into it. I wanted to compete as a teenager in like 2008, but I bulked up to like 250, cut it all the way down to 170. I probably
Oof.
should have competed, but to me, I just wasn't ready. So my
Sure.
first show was 2014. Um, I got, I think, third out of four people or something, but my condition was good. Second show was 2021, where in between that, I
Oh
kind
wow.
of,
I didn't realize
yeah,
there had been
it was
that
a
gap.
big,
That's wild.
it was a big gap. I kind of shifted more from bodybuilding to powerlifting from like 2016 to probably like 2019. So I completed one powerlifting meet, and then the rest of the time I basically just kept getting injured. Decided to abandon powerlifting, even though I really enjoyed the training.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
even 2006, most of my training revolved around squat, bench, deadlift.
Sure.
Um, it was enjoyable. I think that's how my legs and my back were usually my strong
I was going to
points.
ask, do you feel like it carried over then after what you went back to bodybuilding? Do you feel like that training carried over at all?
I do, at least initially, because I still have pictures of whenever I was 18, 19 years old after I cut down in 2008. And really, my most prominent body parts were my back and my legs. The rest, like, needed work.
Sure.
But like, I basically, I mean, I don't know what else that could have been attributed to. I was a very skinny person. Whenever I started out, I was 5'5", 105 pounds, freshman
Whoa.
year of high school. So I gained a couple inches, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've
How
gained
are you,
over
like
100
about
pounds.
5'8" now?
Yeah, 5'8" now. So
Okay.
yeah, I was super skinny. I think I remember measuring my arms. They were either 11 inches or 9 inches. I don't remember. I think 11 inches like flexed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a long road, but yeah, I went back to bodybuilding, um, competed in 2021, and then competed again this year, 2025. And I've been
Yeah.
working with my coach, Austin Stout, since
Yes.
the right after that show in 2021 until now. So
Okay.
yeah, we
Did
put
you do
on.
that 21 prep by yourself? Were you
Yeah,
self-coached?
it was basically by myself, and then
Okay.
I was working as with Austin as a mentor like the last 4 weeks into the show. So
Okay.
he was kind of for like
Keeping an
my
eye on
peak
you.
week. Yeah, for my peak week, he kind of suggested some things, or even a couple weeks out, because I could tell I was like over dieted for that show. So
Yeah.
he's like, okay, you should probably start eating into the show. Um, where I was kind of gradually increasing my carbs every day up
Sure.
into the show, where I gained back maybe like 8 pounds or something, which I was a bit fuller, but I was still like way too small looking. I think
And what did
I
you weigh
burned a lot of
there?
muscle. That show I weighed in at like 176. And then this show I weighed in at, I think it was 196.5 or something.
Wow.
My condition was a little better. I was a lot fuller.
Yeah.
So yeah, this show, I mean, I think we really nailed it.
Yes.
Next time I compete, I'd like my glutes to be a little harder, get a little bit leaner, but it was still I was pretty happy with it. I mean, we weren't depleted, too stringy or anything, which was my biggest concern.
Yeah.
So, I did pretty well. The only thing was I didn't really compete against anyone because I was the only person in my weight class. I was the only
Oh
light heavy
man, what
there.
a bummer. Oh man.
There was three, three or four heavyweights. So I was telling Austin, I was like, I kind of want to just overweigh so I can become a
Right.
heavyweight and
Right.
be
Drink a bunch
compared.
of water and go up. Yeah.
Right. But I thought they would at least, put me in that lineup because
Right.
sometimes if you're the only one in your
I've been
class,
in shows where they did that,
right.
or vice
Yeah, me
versa.
too.
Like I was a heavyweight at a show in April last year, and there was 7 of us or something. And then there was
Shit.
one super heavyweight, and they just put
Bring
him
them
at the
out.
end of
Yeah.
they brought him out with us. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought they were going to do that for me, but they didn't. So they just
Hmm.
called me out there by myself to do my mandatories, which was a little weird. Um, but yeah, I mean, they compare because I technically won the
Sure.
light heavyweight class. I
Yeah.
got the first model. Stupid. So they brought me out for the overall. It was me, the heavyweight winner, and then the super heavyweight winner, which was a guy from my gym. Um,
Oh, right on.
he en- he ended up winning. But they don't tell you who gets second, in that mix,
No,
right?
no.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if I beat the other guy. I tried emailing them, asking if I could see the scorecards or anything, but
Right.
I
This is
never
the
heard
only
back.
time I was compared all day. Can you tell me
Yeah,
like where I
yeah.
stood? You know? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I should try emailing them again because I'd really like to know. I imagine I
Yeah.
beat him. His
I
back
kind of
was
assumed
lacking, which
I looked at the comparisons earlier, like I
right.
wanted to be prepared to speak with you, and seeing that, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if they did keep track of it if it was yours, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think especially in the back pose, even against my buddy who was a super heavy, I think I held my own pretty well. It's just need to improve in the front poses and side poses. So just like more arm size,
I was
legs
just
need to
gonna
come
say, I
up,
almost feel like you need
shoulders.
more of like the bubbly accessory look, like like the
Yeah,
bodybuilder route. Like you said, the big legs, big back, conditioning was awesome, and you're way bigger than you were.
yeah.
Um, you
And
just need
that's
those
really the
little.
main
You
point.
just need the little bells and whistles on the outside.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. But I mean, that's the thing about bodybuilding. It's like you can improve drastically from one show to the next and you can still get your ass handed to you.
Oh,
It just
100%.
totally depends who shows up, and it's really interesting. I mean, it's a very humbling sport, I guess. I don't know any
Forever.
other sport like that. So, but like looking at it for me, it's like I think I'd rather lose than win because if I lose, like I'm more motivated to improve. So
That and
I
your
don't know.
weaknesses are so
Yeah, it
at
becomes
the
more apparent.
forefront. Like
Yeah,
if you win and maybe you're not your best or you're missing something really bad or whatever, but you win, you might be more apt to just say, "Hey, I'm pretty good, man. Like
yeah,
they wouldn't have
yeah.
put
You
me in the middle if I
start
wasn't,
to
you
get
know?"
cocky. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, the work continues, and that's really the fun part. I mean, I enjoy the off season. I enjoy the part about
Obviously. I mean, for your off
growing,
season,
getting huge.
before we get too far into it, I want to dive into that specifically because that's
Okay.
I want to talk about, especially hearing that you were self-coached that first time and how it compared to kind of just handing it over to Austin, who for those of us in the know, he might not be Chad Nichols or working with Derek Lunsford, but he is
Right.
a top coach in terms
Yeah.
of
He's
like
really
experience,
knows his shit.
knowledge, all of it. He walks the walk himself. He gets on stage looking gnarly every couple of years
Yeah.
himself. Um, so rewind a little bit. So you at some point, you were all in on bodybuilding for years, kind of went and did powerlifting. Like many of us, I think you found that your body probably just wasn't made to powerlift. Like I think that's the way
Right.
for a lot of us. I love to train that way too, and I just felt like it would break my body.
Yeah.
Um, where does the company though? Because Leviathan is so um, from my outside perspective, I feel like it's very much so geared towards bodybuilders. And I don't want to pigeonhole the company, but it feels like it's very much so intended for enhanced bodybuilders. So
Right.
where does
Yeah.
that fit into your journey, like within bodybuilding?
Yeah. So I started back in 2018 when I was
Okay.
still working full time. I mean, I was working full time till 2021, which is when I transitioned to it full time. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really have intentions of it being like a full blown supplement company. It was just something I was doing on the side, and to find like Tudka, like a good
Yeah. The
quality
Tudka
Tudka.
King, baby.
Yeah, that like me and my friends can use because I was probably running stupider cycles, or it's definitely running stupider cycles back then than I am now. I used to run orals more often, that sort of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So I wanted to find a good source for Tudka. Ended up finding one, and then started selling it. And I had friends who also wanted it. They purchased it. They uh, mentioned it to their friends and that sort of thing. Actually, Dominic Cardone was one of the first people who kind of like recognized us as a company and like
Yeah.
mentioned us, which
That's
got
a
us a
good
lot
name
of
to get.
traction.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that was really cool. So kind of from that point, we had a bit of a reputation for our Tudka. After that, I started thinking about other products. We came out with Ire about probably like a year after that or something, which is kind of like an overall health product, more geared towards like cholesterol, things like that. And that also did pretty well. So I don't know, just started. I mean, most of the products that we've made are products that I want for myself first off, because like
Yeah.
me being a bodybuilder, I'm like, okay, what's going to help me stay healthier? Like, if my blood works better, technically I can run cycles longer,
100%.
that
It's
sort of
just a
stuff. And
it's a
then,
bright green light if your health is good.
right. And then, like, especially the last 4 years, plus with Austin's help, seeing, how my
Mm.
body responds when it's healthy with like things with if your digestion is good and everything, every little small change that you make to your diet, your training, if your body's healthy, you'll respond favorably to. So it's like, well, if your body's healthy, then bodybuilding just comes easier. So that's another like motivation for me to make products that are geared towards that thing. But yeah, I mean, most of the products are just things that I think of would be beneficial to me. And then, since I happen to have like a bodybuilder's mindset, most bodybuilders also want that also want that sort of thing. And then, I obviously want it to work. So it's like, I'm going to put the best formulation and everything together that I can to make sure that does work. To make sure that it works when I take it, works when other people take it. So I guess just from there, it's kind of snowballed into something pretty, bigger than I ever imagined, I guess. I mean, I never really thought I'd make a full-time job doing it back in 2018.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool, and it's definitely turned into a passion of mine. And it's something to me. It's something that's very fulfilling to do on top of bodybuilding, along with bodybuilding. Because my background is in chemistry. I graduated my degree in chemistry from UCLA back in 2013. So, and I never really knew what I wanted to do with it. Like
I was going to ask you, what were you doing before? Because you had
I
mentioned you
was
quit a full time job.
basically, yeah, I was basically like lab tech type of jobs.
Okay.
I was a lab tech at a place that did like third party testing,
Okay.
mostly for pharmaceutical drugs, like FDA regulated and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But we would sometimes get like supplements or like gray market supplements. I remember I forgot the guy's name. I remember his name from like the forums or something. He used to have like a nicotine product or something. So he would send his products to our lab pretty often.
Is this similar
Um,
to like I don't even know if maybe I should say this or not, but is this almost similar to like a Janoschik lab where you
that
send
one
something off
wasn't.
and get a
Well,
report? Okay, okay.
yeah, but, I mean, it's
No, I
basically the
mean,
same thing, like where
yeah,
you
yeah.
get the results. But
Product
yeah,
wise, I'm sure it's
people,
different. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, legally, yeah, people weren't
yeah,
signing us gear and that sort of stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's the same type of thing. It's the rules and everything for testing is very strict.
Yeah.
And you can't even drink water in the lab without like stepping outside.
Mm,
So that was something I didn't really care for because like you're
sure.
there for 8 hours a day. Obviously, as a bodybuilder, it makes it kind of hard to get your meals in, get
Eat and drink. Yeah.
eating, drink, even drinking water and that sort of thing. And then my last job before I quit to do Leviathan full time was actually a R&D chemist at a place that manufactured personal care products, which is like shampoos, conditioners. But
Oh,
they
okay.
also had a little manufacturing thing for dietary supplements.
Mm,
So it's like something they're getting up and going. So I had some role in helping develop that out, and we went through a couple of audits with like the NSF,
mm.
just like going through that process and seeing how involved all the legal side of like GMP is, all the paperwork and all
Kind
that
of
stuff
prepared
that
you to do
goes
your
into
own.
that. Yeah, it was really cool because I had the company at that point. I think actually having my own company was kind of the reason I got that job because
Mm,
there were two of us chemists. Basically, I thought I was being interviewed for the R&D chemist position for dietary supplements, but it turns out I was actually being interviewed for the personal care products, even though I had no idea, how to do those.
oh, okay.
So whenever the guy was interviewing me, I was telling him like, yeah, I have my own supplement company. I research and develop my own formulations and stuff. He seemed interested, and I think a day or two later, he offered me the job. And it
Mm,
turns out it was the other job, and some like lady with a PhD got the other position because she applied before. I was basically replacing someone who quit like at the last minute. So
okay.
it was kind of weird, but yeah, I mean, it was a really cool, definitely the best job I had working for someone else. Cool experience again, everything. They're a little more lenient. I had my own like office space and everything. So
Mm,
actually, a lot of times when I'd finish my work for the day, I had my own computer, so I'd start doing stuff for my own company, or I'd bounce back and forth, and like there was never someone like over my shoulder. As long as I was getting my work done, boss never really, patrolled you or whatever. So that was a really good way to kind of build my business while having something full time. And then
yeah.
whenever COVID came around, we I only had to go in there once a week. Most of the stuff was just on the computer, so it kind of allowed me more time to dedicate towards Leviathan. Also, so fast forward to 2021, things were doing well enough that I was able to quit full time because they wanted us back in the office basically 5 days a week. And I was spending an hour and a half just commuting back and forth per day to do
Oh,
that.
wow.
Because driving in Orange County traffic, Monday through Friday was
Insane.
terrible. So
Yeah.
yeah, a huge chunk of time wasted. So I decided that was time to quit, and I moved to Southern Utah, which is where I live now.
Oh,
So
okay. See, I thought for some reason that you lived in Vegas, but then
very close. It's 2 hours from
okay.
Vegas. So
Okay,
yeah, I
okay.
have I have a lot of like work and stuff in Vegas. Our
Okay.
fulfillment places in Vegas. My media guys in Vegas. So I go there at least
Okay.
once a month, once twice a
Okay,
month or
right on.
something.
Because then I saw that the show was in Utah too, and I was like, okay, maybe he just that show worked out for him and he traveled, but it
Yeah,
was the opposite. Um,
I actually should have done Vegas. Vegas is 2 hours. That show was Salt Lake City, which is 4 hours north. I didn't even
oh
know
man.
that there was another show in Vegas a week prior to that, and then 2 weeks after that. So it's like I could have just picked that, but also my friend was doing that show from my gym, so I was like,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
do that one too. So
And you ended up
it
being
worked
on
out.
stage with him in the overall. So it's pretty cool
Yeah,
experience.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like, I listen to all the bodybuilding podcasts that come out, and, there are other guys like, Seth, Fuad, some of these other guys come to mind, even Jeff Long, guys that are bodybuilders that have created their own supplement companies. And the thing that you all have in common is that you all said that it started because you just wanted these products for yourself. And I
That's
think that
funny.
there's like nothing that could be more trustworthy or authentic than
Right.
knowing that you trust these products for yourself first and
Yeah.
foremost, which I think is cool. And then it is very cool too because, like you said, it's kept you within the space or within the industry. Like now you
Yeah.
get to work full time within bodybuilding essentially, and of course,
Right.
you get to make your own schedule. I laugh though, especially because you talk about it sometimes, and I'm sure it's much more, it's a lot more involved for you. I'm sure. Like I just coach from home, um, but I work for myself, and when people hear that, they think that it's just like every day is a snow day and like
No,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah, of
whatever you
course.
want. So tell me a little bit about like how bodybuilding and your bodybuilding fits into your day to day. Are you mostly working from home most of the time?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So mostly I work from home. About once a month, I'll go down to Vegas to film. That's usually where I film most of the content that we post with my video guy. Um,
Is that the stuff like
Usually,
with you and you're in the white coat and like you're doing the
yeah,
reels in front of the
yeah,
microphone
with like
stuff?
the
Cool.
good
They're
lighting.
good,
Yeah,
dude. They're good.
that's where he go. I go to his studio. I mean, there were some videos I did from my home here, but
Mm,
just like I'd rather not have to allocate that time like
sure.
every week to do here. It's like I'd
Yeah.
rather just knock it all out like a month's worth, black out a day and do it all over there. It's kind
Yeah.
of easier time wise. Um, but yeah, so most stuff's at home, and then like once or twice a month, I also have to go to the fulfillment center in Vegas. So either like dropping things off, seeing how things are going, that sort of thing. Um, yeah, I mean, most of it's at home. So my schedule, I typically go to the gym late afternoon, around 5 p.m. or something.
Okay. All right.
I get up around 7. So it's like most of the time before that is working. And then usually I'll have stuff that I need to do after too. So it's like maybe an hour or two at night or something. And of course, if I have more emails or messages to get to, or
It
if
never
something
turns
comes
off,
up,
right?
yeah. I should like there should be days where I just turn off my notifications on my emails and stuff because like I'll get up at like 2 in the morning to go bathroom. I just read someone's like email complaining they lost a package or just like bitching me out or something. I'm like, oh great. I'm like I want to respond to it now, but then it kind of like fucks with my sleep. Or
100%.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like if I try to sleep, I'm thinking about it. So yeah,
But you
that kind of
almost have
stuff.
to
But
check because it almost feels like every notification that goes unanswered, at least immediately, in the back of your mind is like, is this a fire that needs to be put out? Like,
yeah, yeah, and sometimes there are those. I mean, luckily,
yeah,
I think it's been a week or two since I've had something where I'm just like, holy fuck, how are we going to recover from this?
yeah.
Which is kind of scary for people who don't have their own business. Like that kind of stuff happens often. And I
Almost
mean,
every
yeah,
day. I mean, I'm
yeah,
sure it's even tenfold for you because it's an actual physical business and you're selling products that have to reach people and service
yeah,
people. So I can't imagine.
yeah. So it's like I don't know. I mean, it still stresses the shit out of me every time something like that happens. But it's like the thing about having your own business is there's really no like right or wrong answer to things. It's
Yeah.
just you have to figure out the best solution. And there's probably not anyone else who can tell you what the best solution is. Because like I mean, every circumstance is different. So it's I don't know. Just
That and you
so
are
so
your
far,
brand. So it's like there are
right.
certain times
Yeah,
you're hilarious. I see you post them every now and again. There are certain times when, had you been working for someone else, you have to give them like the corporate answer and kind of eat shit and say, you
right,
know what, the
right.
customer's always right. You are so
Yeah,
right, sir. I'm incompetent and, we're going to get this taken care of. But then when you own your own business, you know what? Every now and again, I find that the right thing, like in my heart, or the right thing, at least for who I am and like my brand, is kind of just to tell somebody to fuck off and say, you
yeah,
know what? You're a piece of shit and I'm done with this. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you go about your day however you want. I'm done with this.
Right. And like I try my best to not do that
Of
as
course. No,
frequently
of
as
course.
maybe
I mean,
before. Because like
yeah,
yes, I mean sometimes it is on me. Like I'll overreact or something, and like okay, maybe I should just refund this guy or whatever. But there's also, there are those assholes who really try to take advantage of you. They really try to take advantage of the fact that you're a small business. I'm like, would you really be harassing someone like Amazon or
Right.
someone
Go
like
bother
BSN
Walmart,
if they
dude.
had this
Go
issue?
go take from
Yeah,
Walmart.
yeah. So I mean, those kind of people, it's like, but like I still try not to be too rude to them because like I mean, those
Yeah.
people can just go on our, go write bad reviews on us or something like that, which is really unfortunate. And I mean, that's the cost of owning your own business, I guess. And like it's also something to consider. Like, people who leave reviews, it's like, what's the likelihood someone's actually going to go out of their way to leave a positive review versus someone who's going to go out of their way because they're angry to leave a negative review? It's like
What I
90%
find
of the time they're going to leave a negative review. So
the people that are feeling passionate enough to write a review, it's almost always negative feelings that they're trying
yeah,
to express.
exactly.
Because most of the time, regardless of what it is that you're selling, whether it's a product or a service, most of the time, customers that are satisfied or even very happy with what you're offering are not going to write a review.
Yeah,
They will just reward you with loyalty. They will just continue
yeah,
to come back.
exactly. Yeah.
Which it's like, okay, these reviews don't pay my bills, so I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But like the funny things, I mean, are any site or whatever that we have, the majority of our reviews are positive. So
Oh,
it's like
well, that
there,
speaks to the product then.
right, exactly. So that just shows you how many more people who are pleased with our service, with our products, versus the people who, have a bad thing to say. Because like a much higher percent of the people who have bad things to say are actually going to write something bad versus the people who are pleased. So
It's
that's
true.
how I try to look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's with any business.
All right. So transitioning kind of because the whole point of this, I'm doing this kind of as a competitor series separate from my usual podcast that I do like every Monday. Um, and this is more so to be a, a series or a show for the people, starring the people, to steal a line from my buddy Eddie. So, for bodybuilders about bodybuilders. So, um, I want to talk. We talked about some of the earlier days. I want to talk about that 2021 prep.
Okay.
I always find it fascinating when people are self coaching. I know you said kind of at the home stretch there, Austin kind of had your ear, but
Mhm.
I'm always fascinated by this. So talk to me about it. How far out did you start? And in general, like walk me through like some of the processes and at the time, what was a hot button issue in your mind where you were like, okay, like were you always doing fasted cardio? Were you tracking steps at that point? Like kind of the X's and O's. Talk me through it.
Okay. I think I started that diet at least 5 months out. It might have been closer to
Okay.
4. I have a before picture where I was like 220, and I was a lot fatter than, whenever I hit
Oh,
220
so you
now.
started not from a great spot.
Yeah, so, but it's still surprising how lean I got, I guess, given the time
Yeah.
span. But I was taking a shitload of Clen. Uh,
Okay.
I
What's a shitload? How much?
close to like 200 micrograms,
Whoa,
or
holy
like around
fuck.
there.
Oh
I
my
mean, I ramped
gosh.
it up, but yeah,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
thing I've learned about self coaching myself, and especially that experience, is I'm way too impatient to be able to coach
Yes.
myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Even
That's how you
bulking,
end up
like
over dieted.
yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what happened. I
You
mean,
see yourself at 8 weeks out, and what someone else with an objective eye might say, hey, we're right on track, man. This is all good. You want
yeah,
to be in shape tomorrow.
yeah, yeah, and that was kind of the summary of the whole prep, or like the later part prep. I was like, I want to come in with, because my first show in 2014, I didn't come in with striated glutes. I
Yeah.
still had a little bit of fat on my sides, my love handles. That usually that's one of the last areas to come off.
Sure.
I'm like, I want to come in with striated glutes. Nothing else matters.
Yeah, the
So
golden standard,
I
right?
just
Fuck having big
right,
arms on stage. I need
yeah,
glutes.
yeah. It was just and I was just pushing the envelope. I mean, if I every time I cut back in my diet too, it'd be pretty drastic,
Mm,
versus just cutting back, like 20 carbs or something.
sure.
I mean, so I ran out of runway, I don't know, like I mean, I think 6 weeks, around 6 weeks out, I was below, probably below like 1,800 calories or something at that
Oh,
point.
dude.
So 4 weeks out, I don't even know. I don't really measure
Yeah,
my
yeah.
calories. Because I did macros. I think protein was still around 250.
Okay.
Carbs were maybe like 100 to 130. I think
Okay.
130 would
Let
be
me
like the
ask you a couple
highest.
things. Are you killing yourself with cardio?
Yeah, it was at least an hour. I don't think it was
Okay.
2 hours. I remember my first show was 2 hours because I was
Yeah,
working with
we've all been
uh,
there. Yeah.
John Otis Hollywood. He was a coach back in the day. I was doing an hour in the morning, hour in the evening. Yeah, I think
Yep.
this one was just like an hour, 7 days a week, which kind of the same what I ramped up to this last show.
Okay.
But I mean, the diet was pretty intense. The drugs were higher than
I was
what I
gonna
ran
ask,
this
so then
time.
when you do your own gear, like what do you want to talk
Yeah.
numbers? You don't have to.
Yeah. So I,
Or
and again,
ranges.
I ramped things up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think 4 weeks out, I was around like 700 Mastron, 700 Tren. Uh,
Okay. Fuck.
Test, I think Test was around 500.
Okay.
Or maybe it was down to like 350.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I came, I was doing Anadrol at 8 weeks out. I remember I started Anadrol at 8 weeks out because
Wow.
I liked, I would stay
It's
pretty,
keeping you
pretty
full.
dry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
dry and full on Anadrol. So I kept that in. Um, and I think 4 weeks out, what was I on? 4 weeks out, I think I added Halo test in. And then
To the
the
Anadrol?
last,
Or did you
yeah,
swap them? Damn,
no,
you're a
I didn't
madman.
do no swapping. Yeah.
You're a madman. Holy
Yeah, I think
shit,
it was
dude.
like 20 milligrams. And all
Okay,
of this to
okay.
say, like, look how I looked. I was
Yeah,
tiny. Look, I
yeah,
was on all these fucking drugs and it
yeah.
didn't make a difference. So it's like that right there was proof for me. And like I experienced that in my first show too. I also came in flat as shit in my first show. And I mean, those were kind of the doses my coach had me on at the time. We went to like, I think we actually went to 900 trend for my first show,
Fuck, dude.
like 2 weeks out. But
And
yeah,
are
and
you just
then
an insomniac at that point? Are you not sleeping?
yeah, well, I
Are
didn't
you
sleep well
insane?
my last show either. It didn't
Okay.
do that much for mentally, but yeah, it's like sleep was shit, shortness of breath. Um, those are really the biggest things. I also heartburn. I get heartburn really easy
Yes,
on
like
tren.
acid reflux almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really bad. So this time for this show, we only did 75 milligrams a week of tren, and I would
Okay.
still experience heartburn some.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't, and now that we cut it out, I don't get it at all.
See,
So,
not to not
my
to cut
food's a
you
lot
off,
higher.
not to
Yeah,
cut you off or make this about myself. I am so curious in this because I've had a similar journey to where my first contest prep, I coached myself, and that's the most trend that I ever ran. I think I was somewhere
yeah,
between 6 and 800 milligrams. And
okay, yeah,
if that wasn't foolish enough, it was some combination of acetate and an anthate, um, which just doesn't make any sense. But
yeah,
I've come all the way full circle almost to the point where I'm in contest prep now, and I've promised myself I'm not using any.
okay, yeah. I saw your
So
post about that,
I've
and
heard like some people experiment with almost, because I put that up where I'm not doing any, and then you have the devil on your shoulder, and people even write in and say as much, and they'll be like, "But what about 10 milligrams a day?" And I'm like, it sounds good on paper, but then here you are,
right,
you're saying at basically that dose, you're still getting similar side effects.
yeah. The only side effect I would notice really was the heartburn, but that
Okay.
was, that's an issue. It's
No, it's
annoying.
an issue. I get it
Um,
too. And then it almost turns into hiccups that won't go away, and I can't sleep and stuff. And it's like,
Yeah, and like
I'll
if you're
just do
getting it
without it.
when you're trying to sleep, it becomes really unpleasant. But yeah, I mean, even now, like I had trouble noticing a difference in my physique adding it in. So it's like I'm kind of like you, like maybe my next prep, we don't even need trend. I look lean enough and everything without it. We started it at I think 6 weeks out this time.
Right.
But like I didn't really notice much. I noticed a little bit more intensity in the
Sure,
gym
sure.
from it. I mean, that's
Aggression.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a plus I get from using Tren, even at low doses. But like other than that, I don't. You know, I hard to say if it had much difference in
There's so much
cosmetically.
going into it that it's like, you know, all the other goods are still in play. And like, ideally, you're a perfect example. It's like, man, you were ready at 3 or 4 weeks out or whatever it was. And it's like, you're
Yeah,
truly like in proper stage conditioning to where it's like, what is this really adding? If I did the
yeah,
physical act of removing the fat and bringing a fairly muscular physique to the stage, like how much of a difference could this possibly make on the
yeah,
positive side? Whereas if it completely wrecks your sleep, like I know it does for a fair percentage of
yeah,
people, like I'm
definitely.
talking ruins my sleep. I sleep 60 to 90 minutes at a time and I'll be pacing around the house like a crackhead at 3
Yeah,
a.m. And it's like,
yeah,
that to me seems like the negative swing in percentage could potentially
right.
be worse than what it's adding.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, it's probably not something I'll run in the future. I
Yeah.
mean, or at least
Yeah.
get as close to the
It's
show as
interesting
possible.
hearing people kind of transition the thought. It's one of the few like kind of recent fads or trends that I think
Yeah,
is a
I'm noticing that.
positive.
Yeah, or at least lower dose at the
Yes.
very
Yeah,
least. I
yeah.
mean, back in like 2014, 2016, like three like if you're starting Tren, it's like 350 a week. That's really
Minimum
all I've
50 a
heard.
day was
Yeah,
minimum.
and
And
then
then it
now it's
wasn't
like,
uncommon. 100 a day wasn't uncommon. People wouldn't
yeah,
flinch at 100 a day.
right. Yeah, and that's something I kind of wanted to play around with my last show, because I went from 350 to 540, like, well, 150 times a week,
Yeah.
whatever. No, 450.
450. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I can't do math. So like 350, 475 there to 700, and I didn't. I think from like the middle dose to like 700, I didn't really notice a difference in it doing much of anything. So it's like,
Right.
and I know I've noticed that about a lot of drugs. So it's like, why would you take more? Like
Yeah.
I do think it kind of caps at a certain amount, or
Yeah.
the side effects start to outweigh the benefits.
Now, do you
So
feel that way only in contest prep or in all settings?
um,
I asked,
hard to
let me just throw this in. I asked because I'm not gonna lie. In my own experience, I genetically, I guess, have very good blood work all the time. Luckily, blood pressure is good. I mean, I don't want to just say genetically. I take a trough of health supplements on a daily basis for 10 years. Hopefully that has something to do with it. But in the off season, long story short, I have found that more is better if you're doing if things are organized to where it's not detrimental.
yeah, I
Now I haven't
I
gone to
think
five
so.
grams.
Right,
You
right,
know, I've
yeah,
gone up to 2.5 or a little more, but
yeah. I think so. I'm going to use this for comparison. So my after my first show, I was still working with my coach, John Otis Hollywood. So for the off season, he had me run. It was like 3.5 grams of gear. It was like
fuck, okay.
15. I think, was it 1,500 tests or a gram of tests? It was like a gram of test, a gram of DECA, a gram of EQ, or
Wow.
something like that for I think 8 weeks. And then this was an off season cycle. And then we
Yeah.
switched to 750 test prop, 750 Tren, Tren Ace or something like
Yeah.
that. Oh no, and then 750 mast for like the
Okay.
next 8 weeks. I don't think I even finished the cycle because he kind of disappeared at this time.
Oh, good.
But I got huge for
Yeah.
that time span for being that long ago. I look back at pictures. I mean, a lot of it was just temporary fullness and all that.
Sure.
But I
Sure.
got up to like 235 uh, back in 20 late 2015,
Yeah.
and my previous high in the off season, I don't even know if I got above 200.
Oh, so
It was
you got huge relative
it
to where you've been.
it was pretty drastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
In like that second phase of the off season, whenever I was on Tren, it made me look a bit leaner too.
Sure. Sure. The mass will do that
So
even. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think it was definitely noticeable. I mean, I definitely had like a rebound from
Sure.
the show and stuff. But I think at that point I was probably bigger than what I came in at in 2021.
Yeah.
But then I took a break from bodybuilding and didn't have a
Plus, how
solid
much of
off
it is
seasons
actually
and that
muscle?
stuff.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you
Yeah. So that's another aspect. But like,
like
I
that's you
still look,
full blown in the off season
yeah.
compared to like in contest shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, I still look back at those pictures and I'm like, damn, dude, I look so full. Like, I look so big.
Yeah,
So like they still kind of impress me now. I'm like, I wonder
yeah.
what I'd look like if I did that same cycle. Like how
That's
much it would
crazy
be
though,
I
dude.
think it would be I think I would look drastically bigger.
Man, I just don't
Even
think I could handle the trend. Like I can handle higher doses. Like I've done, I think the this past off season, I got up to like about 1,000 tests and then probably 800 each of NPP and EQ. So we're talking like more than 2.5 grams, 2,600 milligrams, which is
mm,
a hefty amount of all three compounds. But I don't, it's hard to say because I've been using anabolics for probably 10 years. But in terms of like being in the off season and that combination of drugs, it doesn't affect me at all, like mentally in any
mm,
negative way. I don't feel anxiety. I don't have insomnia. Any, if I had replaced that 800 milligrams of EQ with 400 milligrams of Tren, I'm a different person. I'm a
right.
maniac.
Yeah. Yeah, because like even last year we tried adding 100 milligrams of Tren E to my off season.
Yeah.
Like I really liked it. I really liked the intensity in
Yeah.
the gym and stuff. But it's just the heartburn.
You can't
I
eat.
think I was still sleeping okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I respond pretty well to most drugs. I think I don't get a ton of side effects. I've never really gotten acne. Even when I was
Yeah.
running those crazy cycles, like maybe like one little pimple on my
Right.
shoulder, and
That's
that'll
just
be it.
totally genetic, it feels like.
Yeah, yeah. So like I think I don't have many side effects like that. Um, but yeah, it's just like
What about
um
gyno? Did you ever get gyno or no?
no, I noticed
Man,
I
you're
think it's
lucky.
just
You
kind of
got a full head of hair, no gyno, no acne.
right. I don't know. Like, sometimes when I wash my hair, especially for the show, I'd notice hair coming out. So
You're doing better than me, brother.
I don't know. I don't know if that's normal for normal people, but like my dad has a full head of hair and
Yeah, that'll do
I
it.
think
My
a lot
dad
of it
was bald before I
is
was born.
genetic. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like either way, you're
It
gonna
was in
get
the
there either
cards.
way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the
So let
cards.
me so let me ask you that because you were talking about like that big rebound, you know, early on, and then so you got yourself kind of over dieted in 2021. I feel like a lot of times when we see like really crazy rebounds or, just total transformations coming out of a show, a lot of times it's from someone that was probably over dieted or too depleted. And then it's like, they have a really dedicated rebound. They're eating and training like a maniac. And then it's like they blow up. So did you immediately start post show with Austin?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And how
mean,
does he is he more of like a, it's time to get healthy and kind of cruise type guy?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I've always been curious about. Every time after a show, I've take just dropped down to cruise dose. I'm kind of curious if I kept on cycle how it look. But when I agree with Austin, I like the way he sets
Yeah.
things up because it's like your body's going to uh, once you increase calories, like you're gonna start progressing already, just being from being
Right.
so insulin sensitive and already.
Yeah.
So like we're still cruising now. Back in 2021, I think it was about 4 months before we started the blast,
Oh, no
where
shit.
I went,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So it was quite a while. I was starting to get a little impatient
Man,
at
I
the
would have
point.
fired him.
Like 3 months in, I was like, man, I'm already like losing a little bit of my appetite. I'm
Right.
starting to look
Right.
fatter. And
When are we
like,
doing
when are we gonna
this?
start?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got up to I think 205 or something without using gear. And then
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
started the cycle, which lasted maybe around 4 months or something. End of that
Yeah.
off season, I got up to I think 235.
Wow.
Um,
Nice.
and I was still very bottom heavy at that point
Sure.
because I still have those pictures. I've looked at them
Yeah.
sort of recently. So basically, the time span between 2021 and up to this last show, I had like four kind of like bulking and cutting phases. Like with
Yeah.
Austin,
Yeah.
we typically just go in phases. So it's
Yeah.
like we'll start a bulk, couple months with just TRT, add in some PEDs, run that for a few months, I guess, until my digestion gets shot or I just can't eat any more food.
Or you're
Which at that
sick of the
point,
shots or whatever else. Yeah.
yeah, at that point, my digestion was the major issue. I was so nauseous constantly at the end of that phase. So we kind of cut back. I cut back down to like 205.
Yeah.
And then we also, because I think that took around 5 months,
Okay.
just cutting back because Austin also held me there kind of to do different stuff, like to improve my digestion. The next off season after that was a really good one. I think I got to, it was either 235 or 240, but I was noticeably leaner than the
Yeah.
last
It
one.
was better. The weight was
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the response was a lot better. And that's when I started really adding improvements to my upper body. I think
Yeah.
another reason that my upper body came up a lot then was because I was having some injury issues with like my knees. So I had to lay off of
I was going
the
to mention that.
leg
That was like
training.
23 ish that you were having an issue with the knee.
Yeah, most of 2022, some of
Okay.
2023. I
Was
think,
that, did that end up kind of being a blessing?
yeah, yeah. I mean, because like my legs have always been
They're big. Yeah.
further ahead. And
Yeah.
like I always struggled to add size to my arms, my chest, and everything. But like that was one off season where I kind of saw that it was possible that like I
Yeah.
can actually, add size to these areas. So yeah, and then I think the next off season phase after that, um, I think we were only training legs once a week, or
Yeah.
maybe like one and a half
Were you
times a week or
always
something.
like a 2 times a week guy?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
2 to 4
See, it's
times. I
just
mean,
like you just fuck, man. And I've seen your videos and stuff. You're doing like DC shit, so it's like, man, you're spending you have these big legs already, and then you're spending the majority of your recovery budget, let's
right?
say,
Yeah.
on legs already, and it's like,
Yeah,
man, well, there's nothing left for your arms or for your
yeah,
chest.
yeah. And when you think about it that way, it makes sense. But it's just like
Yeah.
it's so fun to train legs.
No, especially it's like it's so much more fun. It's a weird like almost paradigm, but it's so much more fun to train the body parts that are good. Like those are
Yeah,
typically the
yeah.
body
And
parts
that's typically why
you feel a
they're the
crazy
best for
pump,
you.
you
Yeah,
enjoy it. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Because you're just so much more into it versus like
Yeah,
arms or something.
right.
I'm I try to enjoy most of my other training too at this point. But
What are you
yeah, I
doing
mean,
training wise now? Do you have an arm day or
so right now we're kind of in a
like
what's the word?
maintenance,
Not,
a
yeah,
hold?
like a hold. Kind of, I'm just kind of doing my own thing. We're gonna actually put a routine together in a couple weeks. Another reason is because actually got stem cells injected in my shoulder and my
Oh
elbow,
shit.
because those were just problem areas for me for a really long time. So I did stem. A place here in Vegas did it the
Oh,
Monday
I was
after my
gonna
show.
ask where
I
you
had it.
went for him.
Yeah, yeah. I actually didn't know that you can do it in America
I didn't
until
either.
I
I thought
started
you had to
looking
go to
into it. Yeah,
Mexico.
yeah, because I asked Austin about it. I'm like, do you know if, I'm kind of considering stem cells, I might go to Mexico or something. He's like, I had a client who got it done in Austin, Texas or something. So he
Oh no
sent me
shit.
the place that did it. I looked into it and I looked, there's a lot of places in Vegas. Yeah, it's almost everywhere now. Like every,
Oh shit.
big town. There's a lot of different types of stem cells though.
Yeah.
So the kind they used was like Wharton's jelly. um, I think there's like VSCs, MSCs. So like you have to look through, the different
To
types and
see
stuff.
what's appropriate for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like there's some like the Wharton's jelly. It's supposed to be more specific to like repairing tendons and ligaments and stuff, and
Okay.
some are just more for like I guess like skin or anti-aging that sort of
Sure.
thing. So yeah, they did. I did stem cells with exosomes and with PRP. They kind of just
Okay.
injected
Yeah.
all in one syringe. So I did the elbow, which they had me get MRIs for each area, which I think is good, just so they get a better
Yeah.
idea of
To
what's going
know.
on.
Yeah. What's going
Yeah,
on?
so I actually had a small bicep tear on this tendon.
Oh no
It
shit.
was like 3 by 3 millimeters.
Yeah.
So I've never even I don't even remember injuring that bicep. So, but I guess maybe it's part of the what's playing into the elbow constantly bugging me.
It's not
Um,
helping.
Yeah, and then the shoulder, I have like rheumatoid arthritis, like
Arthritis.
all this
Yeah,
other
yeah,
shit. Yeah, which
yeah.
any of us who get who trained heavy at this point for over a decade, I think you can scan any area of our body, it's going to sound like an absolute disaster. So it's like, oh, you got like severe arthritis in this
Yeah.
elbow, blah blah blah. So like, okay, whatever. So yeah, I got that done. So I had to lay off like 2 weeks upper
Okay.
body training entirely. So I'm still kind of easing into it. Right now, kind of back to doing heavy. But I'm
How
actually
long
going to
ago
get
was that? How long ago?
uh 4 weeks. It was right
Okay.
after my show,
Any
two
early
days after.
returns so far?
So I actually scheduled another appointment with them because they do free follow-ups. They're gonna do more exosomes in this elbow because they didn't actually inject the area I get the pain in, even though I told them
Okay.
to. I think they ran out of like areas,
Okay.
volume, the liquid to inject.
Mm.
But they so yeah, my elbow's bad. I can feel it already. So I'm going to get that done again, and I'm also going to do PRP in the shoulder. They claim that PRP kind of uh, helps to boost the healing process of the stem cells. But the shoulder, for right now, it's feeling a little better, I want to say.
Okay.
I've been laying off of it though. I
Sure.
haven't added in any forward pressing or like
Yeah.
shoulder pressing.
Like overhead pressing. Yeah.
Yeah, but even I remember even heavy T-bar rows or like shoulder raises would irritate it afterwards, which I haven't been feeling as much. So it might
Okay.
actually be doing something there at this point. It's still kind of early to say, but yeah, I mean that's kind of interesting. But yeah, the elbows is still bad. But I'm hoping once I get those done, I'll probably just deload a week and then get back
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
it. I'm interested to see how it plays out. They also say because when I told them about the elbow initially, they're like, well, it takes a few months, for the stem cells to really start
Mm.
working and everything. Whether or not that's factual or they're just trying to cover their asses, I'm not entirely
Yeah.
sure. Maybe a mix of both. But so I'm also keeping that in the back of my mind. So okay, maybe three
Okay.
months from now,
Sure.
reassess how are they doing. But yeah, I mean that's something I've really wanted to get done, and I'm hoping. I mean the shoulder is kind of interesting because I usually do notice it more even after my show, right after my show, hitting all the back poses, it started bothering me. And
Mm.
at that point, it was fine before because I hadn't been training hard for like a whole week.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes, and
Did it cost
hopefully
you
it
an arm
goes
and a
well.
leg or what? You don't have to tell
Oh
me what
yeah,
it was,
yeah.
but
It
yeah. Yeah.
it, it was $7,000 for
Holy
both,
fuck. No
7 grand
shit.
altogether for those
Wow.
areas. Yeah, the stem cells was most of that. The exosomes was like around half the cost of the stem cells. And then the
Okay.
PRP they threw in for free. And they also do the PRP eight
Are they
weeks
pulling
after
your
for
own
free.
blood?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For the PRP. The
Yeah.
stem cells, they have like their own.
Yeah,
Same
sure.
thing with the exosomes. But yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
I wanted to, I mean, I've tried so much shit,
Yeah.
just laying off of it, trying different
Do
exercises,
you
trying
think
to
it's
rehab
your
my shoulders,
rotator
my
cuff
elbows.
in that shoulder?
No, I got an MRI. The rotator cuff was okay. It's
Okay.
more the was it like infraspinatus,
Yes.
supraspinatus? Well, it's like down in here.
Okay.
I actually had to tell them exactly where to inject
Mm,
because I guess the MRI didn't really show much there.
mm.
But they did inject the other like ligaments in the shoulder. They injected like
Okay.
up here, in the
Interesting.
back. Even though those
Man,
areas wouldn't really give me issues, but maybe it's
you
connected.
almost wonder if it's all because it's like a system and it's anything surrounding it. They want to sure
Right.
all of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like almost like you had
Yeah.
mentioned there's a bicep tear, but it's your elbow that hurts. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm sure it plays into it somehow with like, I mean, pain, just because you get pain somewhere doesn't mean that's
that's not the
exactly where the
issue.
problem is.
Yeah.
It's like referred pain and all that. So, that's why I kind of tried to be lenient with them with the fact that they didn't inject right where I told them that the elbow bothers me.
Yeah.
But like, at this point, I'd expect to see it doing a little better. So we're gonna
Yeah. Man,
try
for
and do it
seven
right on it.
grand,
So
you better be the
yeah.
bionic man in a couple months.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I do like that they offered that.
Yeah.
They offer the free exosomes in that area
Yeah.
also. After I told them which exosomes are that normal be at least 1-2 grand or something plus the
Yeah.
PRP. So
It's
if
nice
they're
they're
offering
not
it for
just
free,
leaving
I'll
you
take
out to
advantage of it.
dry. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we'll see how
Um,
it goes.
all right, man. So um we're gonna close with a couple listener questions and then I'll let you
Okay,
go because we're coming up on an hour. A couple of
okay.
these are probably just quick hitters. I'm curious myself though, because I have you here. You're a real scientist, and so not many opportunities that I get to ask somebody like you questions. So had a female write in 3 supplements that every female enhanced athlete should be taking.
I don't deal with a lot of females. I mean, I would
Okay.
say I would say the same stuff that males are taking. I mean,
Yeah.
cholesterol's going to be a big issue. Is this for you said enhanced, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So enhanced, I mean, just protect your organs, cholesterol, heart health, liver, kidneys, especially if you're on orals or something like that.
Mm.
Um, Hematocrit, I don't really deal with enough females to know if that's an ongoing
That's
issue.
usually not an issue with that. Like there, a lot of
Okay,
times females end up being almost anemic. You know what I mean? So then
right.
some of
Okay,
these, even being on androgens, kind of just brings them closer to normal, more so than it being excessive the way that it is with men.
okay.
Um, Cody Larson, fan of the show, or friend of the show, I should say. I don't know if he's kidding
I
around,
know
but
him.
he writes in, yeah, yeah. He writes in, can one take too much Tudka? He's asking about 2 to 3 grams a day.
2-3 grand. I've never heard someone take
Really?
that. Is he taking that? Is that why he's asking?
I guess he's asking
Um,
maybe for your blessing to do it.
yeah, I've done nearly two, especially
Okay.
that show in 2021. So I was
I was
the
gonna
last
say
week.
if you're pushing things pretty hard, yeah.
Yeah, I was doing Anadrol,
Halo.
Halo, and Superdrol. We added Superdrol the
Whoa.
last 3 days.
Were you pissing
Um,
crimson or what?
no, but yeah, I think I was doing at least 6 caps of Tudka. So it was 800, eighteen
Okay.
hundred milligrams, but just spacing it out. And I got my blood work like 3 weeks after the show. It was pretty damn good. My
No
liver
shit.
enzymes were literally, it was like 50 or something. It was really good. My HDL I think was like in the 20s, which
Okay. I mean, that's not
considering being
god
on that
awful.
severe of a
No.
cycle, yeah. Yeah, my all my
When I
blood
hear
work
a
was pretty
male
good.
bodybuilder, like an enhanced male bodybuilder, like a lot of times they'll be like, yeah, I got my blood work back. Like everything's pretty good. HDL is really bad though. And then I hear that and I assume that it's 3.
Which is funny because my first show in 2014, I got blood work 5 weeks out, and my HDL was I want to say single digits. It was like
Fuck.
it was like 9 or 11 or
Oh
something, and
man.
that was 5 weeks out, and I still did the show, dude.
You're a
I
maniac,
wasn't
dude.
taking
I didn't
any
realize
sort
you were
of
such
like
a wild
supplements
man.
or anything.
Ne
Yeah,
I never would
I
have
was
known
really
behind the
stupid.
white coat that you were
I,
such a
I was
maniac.
I was really stupid. I mean, I think that's why I'm more cautious
Yeah,
and aware of things now. But like
absolutely.
2014, I think I never started hearing about Tudka until 2015.
Yeah.
My friend was running it for orals, and like my buddy said, like, oh, he got his. I think he got his blood work. He's like, oh, his liver was actually fine. I was like, that's surprising. But yeah, I was
Mm.
I was a retard. Um, but I mean, yeah, I've most studies I've seen will go up to like 1,500
Okay.
milligrams of Tudka. But there are studies using it 1,500 milligrams for like over 6 months, and
Yeah.
people are
No
no,
issues.
like, yeah, no adverse side effects or anything. I
Okay.
mean, I think if you space it out, I think the biggest issue you may run into would be like an upset stomach or something.
Sure.
But like you space
And
it
then
out,
that's what's
yeah,
causing
yeah,
it,
which you can spot that pretty easy. Yeah.
Most common health mistake enhanced bodybuilders make and what to do about it.
Just you want me to just name one, or just not
Yeah.
caring about their health. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
just being irresponsible with blasting, not getting regular blood work to see where they're at. I mean, Boston Lloyd, he's no longer with us, which is unfortunate. But I remember him saying, like, literally, like, I don't get blood work when I run cycles because I don't want to see how bad things get. It's like, well, that's not a good thing to do, especially if you want to be in this sport for the long haul, which unless you have insanely good genetics, most of us are going to have to be at this for like well over a decade to be able to see any returns in it. So it's like you want to make sure that you're being responsible with these things. So get regular blood work, take health support supplements, and like if you need to take, prescription, your ARBs,
Yeah.
whatever, to try and keep things as good as possible. And I mean, get like your imaging also, like getting echocardiograms, because
Yes.
like
Yes. That's a big
I've
one.
seen people.
I think at this point, most guys know they should be doing blood work. I think even most
Yeah,
guys at this
yeah,
point know they should be monitoring their blood pressure. Enough has
mhm,
been spoken about it. I think that's the final piece to
yeah,
reach like the mainstream bodybuilder is the organ imaging.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And like, you don't have to get every 3 months. It's like maybe every 2 years or
Once
something.
every 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, at minimum, I would say. If you don't have insurance, it could be damn expensive. Like mine was like $1,600, I think, to get it.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad I got it, because
And
that's how you
relative
really can know that
expensive
you're
is
going to be
relative,
okay.
not to cut you off, but like
Yeah,
knowing that this
no
is
problem.
something like you're kind of unlocking the answers to your entire physiology internally,
Yeah,
where like our bodies are our entire lives, like for most of us.
yeah,
And then it's like, okay, I need to pony up for this once every 2 years, let's say, to have like a clean conscience. Man,
right.
when you consider all that, like, man, if you can't afford like $1,600, even I got like a gauntlet of stuff done down here. I'm in Tampa, and it was about $1,200, and it's like, man, I know guys that do gear orders that are twice that, you know what I mean? Or
Right, right.
GH orders or Increlex,
Yeah,
like, and it's, they don't bat an eye at spending 3 grand. So it's like,
yeah,
this is kind of gonna give you that clear peace of mind for the foreseeable future if you go do this.
yeah, yeah. And like, I mean, echocardiogram is so helpful because like you can see like the actual mass of your heart, how
Yep.
much of the,
Where it
how
is,
much
how
is
good the
it's
function
enlarged.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, your ejection fraction, because a lot of that stuff, unless it's really bad that it's starting to affect your kidneys, like that might not up in your blood work. So
Right.
definitely something to recommend doing.
All right. Last one. My buddy Eddie, who suggested that I do a series similar to this and get more people on and give people more of a platform. Um, I have to shout him out. He also probably came up with the best question to ask you. So he sent me a screenshot of a post that you made right around Christmas time this past year. And it was kind of a picture showing your progressions 2008, 2014, 2024. And
Okay.
in it, you write, I started cooking all my own meals, living like a bodybuilder at 16 years old in 2006. I can remember those days like yesterday. I spent a few years running routines like a 5x5 and would print out the entire Excel sheet and tape it together and bust it out at the gym so I can log my numbers.
Oh
People would
man.
look at me like I was a maniac, and usually still do as I bust out a logbook every session. My legs and back became strong points and still are because I prioritized and looked forward to squats and deadlifts for over a decade. So, based on that, my friend Eddie wants me to ask you, can you expand on those early days, and at what point did people stop making fun of you and start respecting you?
Well, I don't think they like made fun of me directly. I mean, people like it's just like friendly poking fun. But like
Sure.
I was always a super antisocial kid. Like I hardly talked to anyone at the gym. So it's hard to say at what point um people started respecting me. I mean, I didn't go to the same gym too. I'd
Sure.
been to, however many different gyms at this point. But at least now, the last couple of years, um, I don't think people laugh at me. I mean, most people will come up to me and ask their questions. Most of them are, younger
Yeah.
kids, college age kids, whatever. They want to get advice. Usually I don't give them the answer they're hoping for. But yeah, I mean, it's. Uh, Sorry, I just got a
No, you're good.
call.
You're good. Yeah, it's
Okay,
okay.
I think it just disappeared. Okay, wait, is it screwing up the camera?
No,
I
I
think it's
see
gonna.
it flash, but I still see you.
I don't know if it's gonna do it again because I didn't get a chance to hang it up. Okay, maybe it's gone.
It's all
Okay,
good.
um, but yeah, and like that's the thing. Like it was abnormal for me to bring a logbook even 15 freaking years ago. I remember my friend who would come to the gym with me, like he would never do things like that, and like I'd still go in there, I'd write my shit in, and I probably still have those 5x5 printouts. They might be at my parents' house at home. That'd be cool to see. But I don't like, if you want, you can just insert a cheesy line here. It's like if you want atypical results, you have to do atypical things. It's like, look at everyone else in the gym. Look at what everyone else is doing. And come back in a year or two, you're going to see those same fucking people looking exactly the same because they just come in the gym, they dick around, they're not logging their shit, they're not training with intensity, they're texting on their phones with their five friends jerking off in front of the bench. Every fucking gym I go to has that. I cannot stand it. I want my own gym. But yeah, it's like that's all you see. It's really sad. I don't see, and like I was always like that from the beginning. I don't know why. I but that I'm really glad that I got into bodybuilding at such a young age because it taught me those things. I mean, my mom still would cook food, when I was in high school for us when I was 16. But I'm like, no, because like I want to eat these foods. Like I was told I was supposed to eat these foods. I was, told I was supposed to know how many calories I'm getting. So like that's what I started doing. And I don't know, I just stuck to it. I mean, looking back, I would have been much better off if I had a coach, if I, someone to tell me like when to make these changes and all that. But I still had like the basic understanding down and was willing to put in that work. God, I remember I used to eat the shittiest foods. I was like, canned chicken from Costco.
Were you
Like,
eating brown rice?
yeah, brown rice too. Yeah. Steamed green beans that like I would never cook correctly. To this day, I still hate green beans because I just remember shoveling down that shit. It was so disgusting. But yeah, it's just, I mean, it's all part of the learning process. But I mean,
It
getting into
is.
bodybuilding at such a young age was really good for me. And I wasn't a bad kid. I didn't get into any bad activities like a lot of my friends in high school did, because bodybuilding was there for me to adhere to. And, you know, later on in life, obviously that helped a lot with like my work ethic, with
100%.
building my own business. And yeah, I mean, everyone else that I've talked to who's done bodybuilding for a long time, they say the same thing. So it's, find what if you may not become a professional bodybuilder, but like the experiences that you learn from here is what you're going to take and really benefit from in really any aspect of your life. So yeah, I mean, so what was this question? When did people start respecting me?
Yeah,
So I don't
or
know.
I
Maybe
guess like
maybe
kind of if you felt like that there was a shift from people looking at you like you were silly to then kind of realizing how serious you were.
Yeah, again, hard to say because like I never really trained around the
It
same
was never the
people.
same
I'd go,
crowd.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'd go to different gyms, but it was not an overnight thing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It took years. Yeah, but I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
at this point, like any gym I go to, uh, they people see me doing that sort of thing, they'll start asking about it,
Yeah.
rather than like, oh, look at him, he doesn't know what he's doing, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
usually that's a sign that that is a guy that knows what he's doing. Like you have the physique
yeah,
and then you break out, like some type of tracking device and it's like, man, this guy's serious. We
yeah.
just answered, the other part of the show that I did is with my friend Austin, who also competes and coaches full time. And we had someone write in and say, when can I ditch the logbook? And we're both just like, why? Like this is this is your metric of whether or not you're getting better or not. This is the only
Yeah,
way really to assure it every day, every week. Like that line of thinking or questioning is just so foreign to me because I feel like that's like that was how I that was my scoreboard. I've heard Dusty Hanshaw
yeah,
say that. That was my scoreboard every day. It was like, did I get it? Did I win or did I lose? Like basically
right,
from every set, did it go up or not? Like the whole idea, and it is a cliche that's used in many avenues, but it's never more true than it is in bodybuilding in terms of like getting 1% better every single day. That's
yeah,
what bodybuilding is.
yeah,
Like you said, yeah, snowball effect built up over 10 plus years, 10,
yeah,
15 years, a lot of times, like you said,
right,
unless you're Phil
yeah,
Heath. And even
yeah,
so, it was, it took Phil 10 years to be fucking electric at the pro level,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I wanted to ask that. I thought the general theme of the question was good. We're pretty much, I guess we're over an hour now. Is there anything that you want to plug or promote? I'm going to put out all the links for Leviathan and everything and for your socials down in the description below, but anything that you want to throw out there before we go?
No, not really. I mean, if you guys enjoyed it, check out our supplements. If you want someone who's passionate about being in this space and making products that help bodybuilders, we're still here. We're still going at it, and uh, yeah, just enjoying the ride.
Yeah, if you want products that are going to enable you to continue to bodybuild into your 30s and 40s, check out Leviathan Nutrition.
Yeah,
um,
well put.
but I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you making the time and coordinating and scheduling with me, and then jumping on here and doing a show. So for Will Whitlock, I'm Joseph Percher. This was the One More Rep podcast. Until next time, guys, we are out.